Hey there folks, this is Keiichi welcoming you right back to Let's Play Higurashi. This is episode 102. In last episode, we skipped forward a year, and now we're at the time that we normally see this game, with Keiichi returning, Satoshi's gone obviously, and Satoko and Rika living together, all that sort of stuff. And we've seen that already, Keiichi has given the toy over to Rena instead of Mion, sorry. And Mion sort of confided in Shion about that, and we've seen that things aren't going to go well. This is the answer to the Cotton Drifting Festival, so we know how things are pretty much going to go, but this will hopefully give us some more answers, you know. Anyways, let's check out the rest of the chapter. I was too scared to sleep. If I went to sleep, I might not find Satoshi-kun there in the morning. Oh yeah, and she had the Oishiro-sama's curse starting, I think, with the extra footstep behind her. So I kept talking to him until I passed out. I told him about what happened while he was missing. I told him that I realised how much I loved him after he went away. I'd searched for him, looking into various different things. I'd gathered underground information through Kasai and bargained for police information with Rishi. But I couldn't find any leads. A long time passed, but I kept thinking about him. Etc, etc. I told him all the small details from my daily life. The places I wanted to go with him. The things I wanted to do with him. The food I wanted to share with him. And I told him a lot of things. I was sitting up at first, but I got tired, so I lay down. I got tired of moving my mouth too, so I started talking to him in my mind. Probably a good idea so you don't look like a complete nut. It was the happiest night I'd ever had. Oh well, at least she's happy. Talking to yourself's fine as long as you're happy. I actually believe that, I'm not being sarcastic. When I woke up... birdies. I didn't find Satoshi-kun by my side. Oh. I knew it somehow. I was afraid of it. That was why I didn't want to go to sleep. But at least I got to see him for one night. Just when I'd resigned myself to that, I felt Satoshi-kun's presence again. It wasn't a dream after all. I thanked God. And so I began my strange life with Satoshi-kun. Strange is one word for it. As promised, Satoshi-kun was always by my side. He couldn't laugh, mumble, or stroke my head. But he was always with me. Always right by my side. He disappeared sometimes, but he'd come back when I looked for him. It seemed that all I could hear was his footsteps. That's just the way it was. It was a bit sad, but I was still satisfied. His presence was really faint, so it was hard to sense him in a crowd. But he never left me. If he were tangible, I'd be taking his hand all the time, so that he wouldn't be lost. In contrast, I could feel him very strongly in a quiet environment. Of course, I couldn't tell what his expressions were, because he was just a presence. But after I got used to it, I could tell what he was thinking. At first, I could only tell if he was laughing or not. Eventually I started to feel his emotions more strongly. I could communicate with him normally. I was usually alone with him though. I didn't want to go to school or hang out with my friends anymore. But Satoshi-kun got upset about that. He'd keep mumbling unhappily. Now that I knew he'd always be with me, I shouldn't just stay home all the time. I was sticking to my time alone with him, however, because I was scared that he might suddenly disappear again, and I wanted to make the most of the time I was sharing with him right now. I must have been worrying too excessively. Satoshi-kun will always be by my side. Yeah, that was his promise. He never breaks his promises. I was fine, because he was there. Of course, I couldn't tell anybody about him, not even Sis. I could try to explain it to them, but they'd never understand. But I was certain that he was with me, so I'd be alright. I never get fed up with life with him. He's really cute, you know? We always walk together, but when I stop he always walks one extra step. That's so adorable, I love it. Notebook page 159. She likes the extra footstep, everyone else was scared shitless of it, because she's got a personification of it almost. In Satoshi. What's that bit of music starting then? For like a split second. Shion-san, what are you going to do on Watanagashi this year? I guess I'll have some fun at the festival. Maybe I'll tease Sis and her friends. I wanted to go to the festival with Satoshi-kun. I knew he liked to see me having fun with everybody. He might get jealous if I play with Kei-chan, but Satoshi-kun isn't very sensitive in that way. Satoshi-kun loved to see me and my friends have fun. So, I should have a lot of fun for his sake. Then I'd talk about the day with him later. How are you going to Hinamazawa? I can give you a ride if you want. I'm taking my moped, so you don't have to. That won't do. Aren't you going to the family party afterwards? I can't let you drive under the influence. You won't let me drive. He's kind enough to let me drink. Alright, take me then. Like that great uncle or grandfather that always lets their 3-year-olds drink whiskey under the table. Good. Let's leave before nightfall. I'll come pick you up around that time. After Kasai left, I sensed that Satoshi-kun was excited about going to the festival. Watanagashi, huh? So, it's been almost a year since you went away. Satoshi-kun seemed confused. Bet you're going all oomph right now, aren't you? We laughed together. Oh, is it nighttime already? Oh, it's Watanagashi. It brought us straight here. That's good progression. Welcome! Yes, your net in a bowl. Great! Wow, these fish are so active. They look delicious. I could eat this little one raw right here. Oh god. Huh? What are you saying, Mion-san? I'm a you. There we go. Mi-chan, you eat goldfish? Did you eat the one I gave you last year too? Such a freak. No, I didn't say that. Sis shook her head hard. She turned all red. But you just said it. You said they look delicious. I heard it too. Sis eats everything as long as it fits inside her mouth. If it's really good, I'll try it once. Yeah, that's actually my philosophy as well. No, you can't, Rika-chan. You're going to get sick. Even if it's not really good, because you don't know until you've tried it yourself. Wait a minute. Hey, you. How long have you been here, Shion? Hi, Kei-chan, Sis, everyone else. Good evening. Yeah, everyone else is taking the back seat this time, aren't they? Pretty much. Ah! When did you get here, Shion? I've been here since you were at the chow mein booth. I found you guys quickly since you were making so much noise. Hey, you're not in our club. Get lost. Don't be mean, Sis. Right, Kai-chan? You're fine if I come with you guys, right? I took Kai-chan's arm and held it between my breasts. Oh god. We were going to have a ball. So I won't come in. They look happy about us being beaten up. I went round the booths with Sis and her friends. I joked around and laughed out loud. I teased Kai-chan and Sis too. Kai-chan was at the centre of the group, so if I did something to him, it naturally involved everybody else. It looked like Satoshi-kun was having a hard time finding his own spot in the crowd. When I glanced at him in a quiet moment, he smiled and told me to have fun without worrying about him. If he were tangible, I'd pull his arm to join the crowd. It made me sad that I couldn't do that. I bumped into somebody's shoulder. It was obviously my fault, so I apologised right away. As it turned out, it was somebody I knew. Oh, hello sir, we haven't seen you this arc, have we? I don't think so. Oh! Looks like you're having fun. Good evening, Shion-chan. The moon looks beautiful tonight, doesn't it? Oh, it's been forever, Takano-san. And you were... Nice to meet you. I'm Tomitaki. I heard you were Mion-chan's twin sister. Nice to meet you too, Tomitaki-san. I heard you were a great cameraman. Please take a picture of me someday. I'm just an amateur dreaming of going professional. Well, you're actually great, Juru-san. You're good at many things. Oh god. No, I need to study more. I have no talent, so I have to put out a lot of effort to compensate. They must have been in a relationship. You two look so happy together. Am I interrupting you? Oh no. I appreciate your consideration, but you're not interrupting us at all. And you can call me Miyo like before. Not Takano-san. It's a bit hard for me to call someone older than me by her first name. Well, never mind. They're well trained in Japan, aren't they? I smiled bashfully, and Takano-san smiled back elegantly. I haven't seen you in the library since. I wanted to talk to you more as a fellow researcher. Well, when I feel like it. A fellow researcher? You're interested in it too, Shion-chan? I mean, in the legend of this village? Tomitaki-san raised his eyebrows. As far as I knew, Takano-san's hobby wasn't exactly normal. On the surface, her research dealt with the cultural history of ancient Hinamazawa, but its main focus was the Watanagashi Festival from ancient times. The cannibal banquet in which they captured and gutted a living sacrifice. Her research covered various stories surrounding that and other legends of cruelty. It was nothing if not gory. That was where her main interest lay. So, I didn't feel comfortable being called a fellow researcher, to be honest. But objectively speaking, her research notes were fun to read. I bet they would be interesting. All about the demons. It was then that I heard the loud booms of the taiko drums. The main event of the Watanagashi Festival, the dedication dance, was about to start. Come on, Rika. I think it's probably her this time. According to Takano-san's hypothesis, the part of the dance where the shrine maiden tears open a futon mat represents getting a living victim. It's starting. I should head over. Aren't you guys coming to see Rika Chama's performance? Tomitaka-san looked bewildered. Did that mean he wasn't coming? Takano-san giggled, then whispered in my ear. To tell you the truth, we're thinking of sneaking into the ritual storehouse. And it begins. You thought it began before? Oh no. Well, it sort of did, but you know what I mean. She made it sound like she was going to do something fun, but it wouldn't be amusing to anyone who knew what the ritual storehouse was. I think by now, in the anime, you're actually paying attention to Rika more than Shion. I think Rika's the main character for the whole of the answer arcs, right? As far as I remember. The ritual storehouse, or the storehouse for ritual implements, is sort of a treasure house belonging to the Furude shrine. I'd heard that Oyashiro-sama's sacred treasures were stored in there. Only people from the Furude family and selected members of the other two, three families. Yeah, that sort of makes sense. I see where they're going with that. The other two of the three major families, yeah, are allowed to enter. They believe that if other people enter, the place will be desecrated. Everybody in Hinamizawa must have been curious about what was in there when they were kids. But the storehouse was always tightly locked. You couldn't just peek into it either. Kids would get chided if they played around it, so they'd learn to stay away. I didn't like being around it myself, since I was familiar with all that. Even though I didn't believe in curses, I still didn't want to be near it. Nothing good can come from breaking the rules. Were they still going to enter the ritual storehouse despite all that? Well, they know about it. Pretty sure it's tightly locked. It was until last year. Rika-chan had the heavy bolt changed to a cheap padlock because the bolt was too heavy for her to lift. Sort of defeats the object. Did you know that? No. But even if it's cheap, it's still locked, isn't it? Jiro-san is very skilled. Oh, are you good at lockpicking? Once the Watanagashi ritual starts, everybody will gather around the stage, right? Then the area around the storehouse will be completely devoid of people. Tonight, this place will be a blind spot. Can't see the forest for the trees, I suppose. Ho-ho! According to a hypothesis, the ancient tools used for human dissection and torture would be found in the ritual storehouse. Why don't you join us in a bit? It's now or never. So, maybe I'll see you then. Takano-san, what are you telling her? Just girl talk. Let's go to some dark place for a quick date. Huh? He sounds so nervous, like, are they really dating? Is she just taking the piss out of him? Takano-san walked against the flow of the crowd, alongside Tomitaki-san. The ritual storehouse, huh? It was supposedly filled with torture tools. Considering what they had in the underground torture room at the Sonzaki house, that's quite possible. Yeah. Satoshi-kun fell victim to the curse in the 4th year. His aunt's death was a sign of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Satoshi-kun was a sacrifice to pacify Oyashiro-sama's anger. That was what Takano-san said last year. It was just her hypothesis. At present, I wanted to deny her hypothesis because I wanted to believe that Satoshi-kun was still alive. If her hypothesis was correct, either some religious fanatic or somebody from the 3 families must be imitating the curse in order to revive the ancient custom of Onikafuchi. That would mean that it was them who killed Satoshi-kun. So what if the ritual storehouse was filled with garbage instead of torture implements? Maybe it was filled with broken palanquins, no idea what they are, or freshly painted signboards for the festival. What then? It wasn't really hard for me to believe that it was filled with a chemical smell of paint. Maybe I'll get to deny the hypothesis that Satoshi-kun was sacrificed by seeing the inside of the ritual storehouse for myself. Whatever was in there, it didn't mean that Satoshi-kun would come back. What should I do, Satoshi-kun? Since most people went to see Rika-chama's ritual dance, the festival grounds were deadly quiet. Even so, I couldn't sense Satoshi-kun. Did he go somewhere? Or was I not paying enough attention? Or maybe he wasn't feeling any emotions in particular. After thinking for a while, I decided to go in with him. It had been almost a year since Satoshi-kun's disappearance. I'd been avoiding the truth because I was afraid he might be dead. But now I had a chance. I had a chance to see the inside of the ritual storehouse. I felt as though something divine had arranged that coincidence. On my way to the storehouse, I noticed Keiichi. He was jumping up and down trying to see Rika-chama's dedication dance over people's shoulders. If I took him along, we could split the guilt. Got it. Oishiro-sama might put a curse on me for entering his divine storehouse. I wanted a partner in crime. Since the boy I loved disappeared last year because of the curse. Maybe Mion's love should disappear this year. Yeah, in the Cotton Drifting Festival, Shion to take Keiichi along, don't she? Whoa, what am I thinking? That must have been the demon inside me. I shook the thought out of my head. Yeah, that was a bit trouble. What's going on, Shion? Where's the best place to see Rika-chan's dance from? Is it far? Not far at all. Huh? I never said I was going to show you that. We made it to the ritual storehouse. Keiichi was baffled by the whole situation. Our timing had been perfect. I could see Tomitaki-san picking the lock. Even though Keiichi must have been curious, he insisted that we shouldn't go in. But I talked him into it anyway. He was quick to change his mind when Tomitaki-san joined in. It was completely dark inside, so Takano-san lit a battery-powered lantern. A small entry space appeared before us. It's so dark in here. Take care not to trip over anything. I appreciate the concern. Okay, doorman, keep a good watch. We're shutting the door now. Takano-san closed the door with a smile, as if leaving Tomitaki-san out on purpose. Man. Alright everyone, have fun. As soon as the heavy door was closed, we were surrounded by a quiet darkness. All we could rely on was Takano-san's lantern. It'll be fine. It's an outdoor lantern with backup batteries inside. It won't go out or anything. Takano-san teased Keiichi a little. Keiichi, in turn, looked a little pale. He seemed to be able to recognize the sanctity of the building, even though he wasn't from Hinamazawa. Let's go in. Here we go. There. After Takano-san opened the heavy inner door, a dusty, foul smell flowed out. Well, nobody goes in there, so, you know. It was like the smell of a pantry that hadn't been opened in years, and the smell of a fish market mixed together. I didn't know exactly how to describe it, but it was a bad smell. From listening to the echo of our footsteps, I could tell that this room was much bigger than the one we were just in. When Takano-san raised her lantern, I could clearly see just how big it was. Wow! At the far side of the wall, there was a statue of some kind of god staring down at us intruders. The way it was lit by the lantern gave it a powerful appearance, and it scared me. That's the guardian god of Hinamazawa, Oishiro-sama. I looked up at the statue, which was holding its religious ornaments. If Satoshi-kun's disappearance really was a curse, I couldn't forgive this god. I found myself irritated by the way the statue looked down at me. Damn you, Oishiro-sama. If you really made Satoshi-kun disappear, I'll never forgive you. Never. Keiichi didn't seem to understand the significance of the storehouse. He looked bored. I thought he realised there was a religious sanctuary sort of thing. Takano-san noticed that and took out his scrapbooks to show him the brutal history of ancient Hinamazawa. I'd heard that story already, so I decided to walk around by myself. Since I knew the significance of all these tools, I felt a little nauseated. Though they certainly wouldn't jump out to me, I still found them intimidating. They looked as if they were craving for fresh blood after not having been used for hundreds of years. All the tools looked similar to the ones I saw in the underground torture room at the Sonzaki main house. If those tools were the progenies of torture implements, these would be their ancestors. All the implements here looked old. I doubted they could really be used. They weren't kept maintained like the ones at the Sonzaki house. So, did that mean they shouldn't scare me? No, on the contrary. They told me that cruel rituals were indeed performed in this village at one point. Now that I found scary. What Takano-san told me was the truth. When I stopped, Satoshi-kun also stopped behind me, one step later. I felt no emotional change in Satoshi-kun. I couldn't tell if he was feeling something or not. I knew he was there, but I had no idea how he was feeling. I felt scared of him for the first time. If he could answer me, I'd want to ask him, who demoned you away? You listening, Satoshi-kun? I couldn't tell if he heard me or not. He left, as if he didn't hear anything. I could tell that he'd been sulky ever since we got here. I suddenly felt lonely, so I looked for him while walking around. I realised then that there was an altar in front of the statue. He might be there. It was a clean altar, an altar ornamented with religious artifacts. It was kept well maintained. I saw no dust. That would mean, well, the flowers in the vase weren't wilting. I saw a pretty handkerchief under the vase, looked out of place amongst everything else. I was fairly certain it was Rikafude's handkerchief. That would mean that this storehouse is maintained daily. It wasn't a forgotten ruin buried in dust. So the brutality that dwelled in this ritual storehouse is still alive and well in Himurazawa. That's right. Something as ambiguous as Oyashiro-sama's curse is nothing more than a simple delusion of the villagers. As Takano-san said, everything that happens in this world is done by humans. I'd accused Oyashiro-sama of demoning away Satoshi-kun, but Oyashiro-sama is just a statue made of bronze or wood. It's nothing but an icon. There are, however, human beings who would try to make that icon seem real. The series of mysterious deaths in Himurazawa is a result of human action. It shouldn't be called Oyashiro-sama's curse. If Satoshi-kun was the fourth year's victim, then he was victimized by a human being who just was acting the part of a curse. The person who demoned away Satoshi-kun must not be very far from here. Or from me. The truth behind Satoshi-kun's disappearance was not so far from my grasp. Thump. I was startled by the sound. It sounded like somebody had dropped something. I looked over at Takano-san and Keiichi. Takano-san was still lecturing him. Did she drop a scrapbook or something? Thump, thump, thump. Then the sound came from right behind me, not from them. I never heard Satoshi-kun do that. It sounded like somebody was stomping on the floor in frustration. What is it? Thump, thump, thump. The sound continued, ignoring my question. Though I heard it right nearby, it sounded as though a child was hopping on a wooden floor somewhere distant. What's wrong, Satoshi-kun? Are you angry about something? I couldn't read his expressions. I thought he was mad, but I didn't sense any emotion from him at all. Was he mad that I touched the altar? Maybe you weren't supposed to do that. Thump, thump, thump. It's not that I'd been able to communicate with Satoshi-kun in a concrete way. I just talked to him. I was never expecting him to react like that. I didn't sense a willingness to communicate from this creepy sound. Then a chill ran up my spine. I felt as if all my pores were opening. I'd been thinking that it was Satoshi-kun stomping on the floor. Hey, you. Yes, Satoshi-kun. Aren't you? The sound stopped when I asked that. It wasn't a yes or no, just silence. Satoshi-kun wouldn't scare me like that. I realised suddenly that the sound hadn't come from Satoshi-kun. A cold shiver shot through my feet and I sprung a step backward. The sound had come from right there. Even though I jumped back, it was still just a few meters away. Satoshi-kun would sometimes let me hear his footsteps when I walked. But if that wasn't Satoshi-kun, then there was no guarantee I'd hear his footsteps. So, that invisible being could already be right in front of my eyes. And I just wouldn't see it. I forgot everything and ran, straining my ears as much as possible for any sound, listening for any footsteps pursuing me. I ran right into Keiichi and clung to him, timidly turning back to look. The dimly lit area before the altar was quiet, like nothing was happening. But seeing that chilling dark stillness, realising I was just in that space, made me even more frightened now. What's up, Shion? Did you get scared? Keiichi made fun of me. Even though he'd looked horrified just a little while ago, he now looked satisfied to see me scared too. I know girls tend to get freaked out by haunted houses. Well, I don't mind it. Anyway, let's go, before Takano-san leaves us behind. I pretended to be fine, but I wasn't sure if I was able to hide my fear entirely. The footsteps were chasing me. They were outside the illumination of the lantern, as if they couldn't go into the light. The presence never left us, however. It followed us like a fourth member of the party. Sometimes it made a stomping sound as if wanting some recognition. But neither Takano-san nor Keiichi seemed to notice it. It was possible for Takano-san to be ignoring it. But Keiichi would never ignore it. If he could hear it, he would have said something. So, just like with Satoshi-kun. Only I could hear it. What was this thing that was making me so scared? Was it Satoshi-kun in a bad mood? Or is it possible that the presence I believed to be Satoshi-kun might not have been him at all? Thump. Thump. What are you upset about, Satoshi-kun? Tell me if I did something wrong. I'll apologize. Thump thump. Thump. If you aren't Satoshi-kun, then where did he go? When did he take his place? Thump. 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 Shion, you alright? Huh? I'm fine. You look pale though. Then I'd appreciate it if you didn't stretch my clothes too much. Oh, sorry. Oh, am I interrupting you too? I decided to engage in the conversation to help myself ignore the sound from behind. I didn't hear the sound as much, and it became a bit more distant. Yeah, I shouldn't pay attention to it. It wouldn't bother me if I didn't hear it. I should just ignore the noise. Takano-san, you're researching whether those customs survived into the present. You are, right? Thump, thump. What I'm about to tell you is a secret, alright? I told you, Shion-chan, because you're an understanding person, but the other villagers don't want to hear it. If things go awry, I could be ganged up on and punished. Array, Ori? She smiled at me like a witch. Thump thump. My Barakun, you keep it a secret too, okay? If things get out, I could suffer Ushiro-sama's curse or be made into a sacrifice. If it's a curse, then I wonder what kind of death it'll be this year. If it's a sacrifice, then will I be thrown into the Onagafuchi swamp while still alive? And it's tonight, you know. The night of Ushiro-sama's curse. It certainly is. If the curse strikes for a 5th time, it'll happen tonight. Thump thump thump. Takano-san pulled out an old scrapbook from her paper bag and started turning the pages. She opened it to the page with that one article. It was the article about the brutal murder of a Watanagashi victim. It happened in the Meiji era. It's a story that actually happened. It was around the end of the Meiji era. They discovered an unknown, mangled corpse, the victim of a murder, in Onagafuchi village. Thump, 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 thump. Never before has there been a corpse treated with such cruelty and inhumanity. Thump, thump, thump. Hey, you guys seriously don't hear that? It's freaking loud. How can you not hear it? Ah, hell, it's freaking noisy. Cut it out already. And next moment we all heard a squeaking noise. We turned around in surprise. Oh, hello. It was just Tomitaka-san opening the door. Ah, did I startle you? Oh, Jiro-san, could you not resist seeing inside? It's a splendid treasure trove of torture devices. I'll pass on that. I'm bad with this sort of thing by nature. Takano-san laughed as if making fun of Tomitaka-san for being such a scaredy cat. In any case, the dance and ceremony are over, and everyone's going down to the river. The festival as a whole will be over within minutes. Time was up. I'd never expected that Tomitaka-san would save me from this nightmare. His face suddenly looked heroic. Oh? Keiichi-kun, you leaving too? I've seen enough. Shion, you're good too, right? Let's get out of here. I want some fresh air. I agree. Let's leave. I went into the entry room and turned around. Takano-san was taking photos in a mad rush, though our time was up. I didn't hear that sound anymore. I didn't feel that presence. I didn't feel Satoshi-kun either, but somehow I wasn't too sad about that. Even if he followed me out here, I wouldn't be able to tell if it was really him or somebody else. And there we have it, their little journey into the ritual storehouse. We saw it before, but now we saw it from a different angle, from Shion. Why she was so scared when it was Keiichi's part. It was because she thought she was being followed and everything. Defilers. Yep, defiling sacred grounds and all that crap. Okay, new tips. 3 of them. Page 172. That underground torture room is officially called the Underground Ritual Storehouse. So, the torture room and ritual storehouse mean the same thing? According to Takano-san's theory, bloody rituals including Watanagashi have been passed down among the 3 families even after the Meiji era. The rituals are always ready to be performed. Their form of worship always revolved around torture, so Hinamizawa's history involved a great deal of human slaughter. Takano-san's theory is correct. The underground storehouse at the Sonzaki house looked well maintained. Takano-san's right about that too. Since the Sonzaki family and the Fude family both have ritual storehouses, the Kimiyoshi family must have one too. After all, these ancient and brutal customs are still handed down through the generations. I should remain armed with knowledge that occult events are still secretly being performed in this cursed village. So there we go, that's all we needed to know from that whole section. They're still using torture devices and stuff. Page 173. The sanctity of the ritual storehouse is one of the most prominent elements in the worship of Shiro-sama. Of course, I knew that since I'm originally from Hinamizawa. But violating that sanctity is actually a more serious problem than I thought. Takano-san's research shows that the history of the ritual storehouse goes way back. Ritual implements within have long been viewed as inviolable objects, which is why it was strictly forbidden to enter. Takano-san's theory says that Watanagashi was once a public execution, performed to stabilize the reign of the three families rather than a purely religious ritual. If so, the ritual should hardly be called sacred. Under those circumstances, the implements should have been despised as symbols of hatred and fear. Yeah. When instruments of fear are too visible, it only creates a reign of terror. But keep them as hidden as possible and they gain divinity. Many said they would become tainted if the layman touched them. The only reason for that was to preserve their false prestige through secrecy, since they would lose their sanctity if revealed before the common folk. In other words, the true identity of ritual storehouse's sacredness was fear. That was the true emotion ruling over this village. They're scared of all their past and everything then, yeah? Page 179, we're skipping ahead a bit. The reason why Takano-san and Tomitaka-san was cursed is because they broke into the ritual storehouse. Yeah, as we know, they're the victims this year, right? I don't know how the villagers found out about it. Maybe somebody was watching. Maybe there was an anti-theft alarm. Either way, our intrusion must have been reported to the highest level of the curse system. That's because, considering the distance between the village and the site where Takano-san's body was found, she must have been killed right after we came out of the ritual storehouse. It was done very quickly. It's possible that a special assassination team exists for this purpose, or that the plan had been set up a long time ago. There might have been secret agents to the Sonzaki family, but the latter sounds more valid. But if so, who would have been the victim if nobody broke into the ritual storehouse? That's a good point. Who would it have been? Okay, so that's that. Oh, this has been Greeny XI. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. It has been boiling today, so I do apologise if I've sounded a bit out of it, but I usually do anyway, I think. Anyways, I'll see you again in a bit when we check out the next chapter. It might be the revelation of the curse's victims. It probably will be. Or it might be after that because the tips already told us who's going. So we'll see. We'll see. Thanks again for watching, folks. See you again in a bit.